The Kenya Publishers Association started way back in 1972, thanks to founders such as Dr. Henry Chakava, and it has grown through the years, faced certain challenges, but the founders have been able to surmount those challenges. And today, we can say that the Kenya Publishers Association is a solid association that brings together all book publishers in Kenya. It has an affiliation with the African Publishers Network, that is APNET, as well as an affiliation with the International Publishers Association, which is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland.
In 1971, we had several meetings at the East African Literature Bureau offices that were housed at the community where the Supreme Court of Kenya now sits. And several of us decided to set up an association that would put our foot down and work with the government of the time to make sure that there was a role to play in publishing in Kenya.
The Kenyan book industry has grown from British approach in the older days when almost all publishing houses operating in Kenya were owned by the British. But by the time I came into the publishing industry myself, which was early 1984, there were a few players in the country, and the Publishers Association was relatively weak. And those days there were confusion about indigenous and multinational publishing companies.
When I got into publishing in 1987, we had what we called then the book debate because the 844 system of education had just been introduced about 3 years earlier, and there was what looked like a boom space for publishers to develop learning materials to support the 844 curriculum, and the competition sometimes tended to be cutthroat and controversial with all manner of underhand activities, both from within the industry and from without, but which would find some level of regulation and leveling out.
At the same time, the Kenya Publishers Association decided that it was important to start the Nairobi International Book Fair. So in the 1990s, the founders of the Kenya Publishers Association came together, started in a very modest way the Nairobi International Book Fair. That fair has grown by leaps and bounds, and today we can confidently say that it can compete favorably with other international fairs all over the world.
There was no book fair event in Kenya those early years until one Stanley Irura of Bookman Consultants decided to start what he called the Nairobi Book Fair, which was running at the City Hall here in Nairobi. And it ran for a couple of years very successfully. At the same time, Professor Odhiambo, who was then the director at ISIPE, alongside one lady called Mary Bugembe, started a children's book fair, which was called Kaisai, learning from the KICC. These two were the precursors of the current Nairobi International Book Fair.
When the Nairobi International Book Fair was born, the focus was largely on scholarly, on creative, and on non-core curriculum materials which we wanted the members of the public to get to know about. And the Kenya Publishers Association, then under the chairmanship of Henry Chakava, having on board also people like David Muite and people like Ismaili Abdallah, people like Gasheche wa Ruinge, were able to retain Bookman consultant to spearhead the activities of the first ever Nairobi International Book Fair, which took place at Charter Hall, City Hall, some 25 or so years ago.
For a long time, the Publishers Association was not taken seriously, especially by government. The government did not engage because there was a lot of engagement between government and multinational publishers, especially British publishers. If business is constrained, then there are no resources. The companies are not doing well. So those were the challenges that we needed to deal with at that time. Just get government recognition and get involvement.
One of the things that I am very happy about today is that when I look at the book fair then, and I look at the book fair now, one major event that we have achieved is the fact that the volume of exhibitors, just the sheer volume of exhibitors has increased. People have come to realize that every September, the book fair will be held. And that is one feat that I'm so happy that KPA has continued holding without letting the ball down.
And within the cultural and creative industries, there are about 8 or so cultural domains. Publishing is one of those cultural domains. And book publishing is basically one of those domains of culture that are driving economic growth and creating jobs in countries. And so the role of the Kenya Publishers Association is critical in that regard, in terms of providing, ensuring that Kenya's culture, Kenya's thinkers, Kenya's readers are basically reading content from the country.
Book fairs changed the terrain in the sense that you know you're going out there to showcase what you have. So you must work to have variety to attract people to come to your stand. Because if all I have in my stand is just textbooks, I mean, people buy the textbooks all the time because they're going to school. I need to do more to attract more people to come to visit my stand. But I think we are really trying. I can't say there's been a big difference. I've been to the book fairs over the last few years, and you can see a difference in terms even of what is available, not just the hard copies as well, but also the soft copies that people are making available to the readers and the who are interested in reading.
Those days, and what is making me very happy today, our business was controlled by multinationals. Today, we are the only, I think we only have one multinational, who is not really a multinational because it is completely locally run. So I'm happy that Kenya, we have seriously taken over publishing as indigenous publishers. That makes me very proud.